cards. Hunter Ovington on the top, Gruul Brood-Scale on the play, Andrew Bailey on the bottom, Esper Reanimator on the bottom. And what do you think your matchup was?
Andrew loves it.
Okay.
Andrew feels really good about this. He thinks it's a lot better than just the traditional ramp, the traditional Eldrazi ramp, just because he's good at dealing with those creatures. So has pest control to deal with all the small ball stuff, the constructs, that kind of thing, and then still has this over-the-top Reanimator package that, well, Hunter doesn't react to with, doesn't have the answers to that easily. There are the K commands that you can exile cards from the yard, but overall, good matchup for Andrew.
All right, so he's a turn to Eldrazi Temple, the key land in Hunter's deck, casting a Fleshraker. Going to try and get that damage going. Card does kill very, very fast. Andrew's Surveil Land did not reveal Eagles of Brand. Bummer.
Man, Andrew has just been not lucky at all.
So unlucky. Pluto Delta, pass the turn back to Hunter. And let's see what Hunter can cook up here. These middle turns are Hunter's kind of proving grounds, right? A lot of possible big splashy plays.
Absolutely. And we saw both of these players kind of have that, fantastic draw. If you guys can still remember the Vexing Bauble, that was about an hour and a half ago that, was revealed off the Rumble, ended up being completely game-breaking. So, you know what? When it comes to a tournament like this, you got to play well. You got to get lucky at some spots. Things have to line up to win an event of this scale, All
right, we see a Rumble. We see K-Command, Land, and Brood-Scale go to the bin. Land for Hunter. Foothill's going to go right to the bin as well. Fetch up a Stomping Ground. So Hunter looking for the mana here. We get a Scion, a little bit of damage. And we're going to put things back together here. And we're just adding up a little bit of damage. Get things all shuffled up.
Yep. Players playing a little quick there. It's been a long time. You feel the pressure of the finals. You literally see the pressure around you as it's kind of like a barren wasteland towards the end of a tournament where just cranes are afoot. Everything's getting packed up. So you feel the pressure in a lot of ways when it comes to the end of a tournament like this.
The only players with the right to still be here.
Yes. You're literally kicked out if you're not a part of the event this late in the tournament.
All right. So Stomping Ground untapped. Going to go for the Blade of the Blood Chief.
Okay.
This is a key part of the combo with the Brood-Scale. Now, notably, Hunter put a Brood-Scale in the graveyard.
Yes.
So chose a land over the Brood-Scale.
Needed the mana, maybe already has it. It was a pretty quick thought. So you got to think, if I'm Andrew, I'm thinking, well, a couple of things could be going on. One, you're just kind of playing quickly. Number two, if you're not even going to look and attempt to grab that card, I would put Hunter on already having one in hand.
All right, so we see, is this a passive turn from Hunter here? Was there no attack on this Glaring Fleshraker? Why would there be no attack?
I don't...
Yeah, there's no flash creatures to block with here. No.
Yep. There should have been an attack. Yep. I mean, the only thing it could have been is Solitude Ephemerate it, and Solitude the Eldrazi's, and then you get to block. But, even that play just doesn't make sense. So.
Okay. So maybe a little more combo focused on Hunter's side?
Yeah. Or just, more than likely, just a small misstep that, you hope doesn't bite you type thing.
A little smile from Hunter there. That might be the case.
Yeah.
All right. So we see a Surveil again. Surveil Land's phenomenal in Andrew's deck. Always the fear of hitting that large creature. Not going to keep it on top, though.
It's just when a sports team wins a playoff series so early and you have so much time to wait until your next playoff things, you get a little rusty. And Hunter won so long ago. Maybe that's the case.
All right. So Pest Control.
Whoa.
Mop it up. Wow. That is awesome. So kills the Blade, kills the Scions, and takes a lot of the pressure off the board.
That's a one of as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen. Sometimes it's just your day. All right.
But the best permanent is still in play for Hunter, for what it's worth. Glaring Fleshraker is still by far the strongest card out of all four of those permanents.
All right, so we see a Fleshraker number 2. They do stack pretty darn well.
They absolutely do.
Scion's in, 2 points of damage. Another Scion. And they each trigger off of each other.
Yep.
And it can go pretty crazy pretty quick. Sack a Scion. Sack a Scion. Writhing Chrysalis. Okay.
So that's 10 damage, right? Because you have the Chrysalis, you get 2 from the Chrysalis, you get 2 from casting this card. They each trigger twice. That is 10 damage just straight up upstairs. And man, so that's Andrew down to 5. Andrew should be at 3 with the attack.
All right, well, now we see the attack. Life total dropping, down to 3.
So if there's just one colorless thing, that would be game right here if that attack was missed. But looked like there wasn't one in the first place. So this is Andrew's turn. You got to do something big.
Yeah, and as we were saying about a minute and a half ago, a surprising amount of damage from these Flesh Rakers.
Yes.
And this is a really good draft deck the Hunter's got here.
No kidding. Absolutely. It looks like Gruul Eldrazi was open.
All right. Wow. A very impressive game there from Hunter, despite getting pest control. That pest control looked phenomenal, but Hunter says, no problem. I'm going to rake some flesh.
Hunter is speed running this top 8. He was the first one done in the top 8. I didn't see exactly how it went as we weren't calling that one, but that was our main feature in the top 8. It was the first one done. In the top 4, I mean, we saw what happened there. That was 20 minutes. And that game was 4 minutes long.
Hunter has a flight to catch.
I guess so.
All right, so on Andrew's side here, let's look at our sideboard here to try and stop that from happening again. 1 Ashtok Gerrymender, 4 Consigned Memory, seems a little bit important. 2 Deafening Silence, 1 Mystical Dispute, 1 more Pest Control, 2 Subtlety, 1 Teferi, 1 Thoughts. These are Wrath of the Skies. I gotta mention Consigned Memory is the card here.
Consign, I bet we see Wrath of the Skies to be able to deal with the Urza Saga. Remember, that does still blow up that, as well as the Constructs, the Scions, all that kind of things. Pest Control still looked great there, even though, we kind of lost immediately after we cast it. So, Pest Control, Wrath of the Skies, Consign looks good to me from Andrew.
With so many cards coming in, is Andrew going to dilute the combo a little bit here? Trying to play a little more control? Or
it is tough because you can't take out too many cards. You probably just take out some of your not amazing enablers like Otherworldly Gaze, Late to Dinner. Prismatic Ending doesn't look amazing to me, although it still looks perfectly fine. But yeah, that's the cost. You got to not take out too much. Still got to have your deck function.
All right, and then on Hunter's side, we see a sideboard of 2 Damping Sphere, 2 Dismember, 1 Gemstone Caverns, 1 Grafdigger's Cage, 1 Nature's Claim, 1 Pithy Needle, 3 Pyroclasm, 3 Thief of Existence, and 1 Vexing Bauble.
The nice thing about these Urza Saga's deck is if you bring in 1 Grafdigger's Cage, which looks phenomenal against the Reanimator deck, you actually get 5 of them with the Urza Saga's interaction there, so I'm slam dunking that one into play. Outside of that, I'm probably down to bring in Dismember to maybe deal with Frogs, although that is not super strong. Not an absolute ton that I'm seeing from the Broodscale side.
All right, so let's take a quick second here while they're sideboarding, going over these lists. Obviously, this is a very important match. Players are not going to be in any rush at all. And remind you all, you can sell your cards at StarCityGames.com.
Yeah.
Hop on over to sellyourcards.starcitygames.com on the internet. If you're ever at an event, welcome to the booth. They'd love to help you out, sell those cards. And you can get some cash. You got to pay your rent, whatever else it might be. But what else can you do, Corey?
I mean, you can just get some store credit, if you just played against an Esper deck and the Tainted Indulgences looked so very good, you want to get rid of your Esper deck, you want to get a different Esper deck, let's rock it. Sell your cards. Go to sellyourcards.starcitygames.com.
Get a little bonus there too, right? A little 30% kickback.
Well, 30%,
on that. Yep.
Absolutely. That's the literal only way I've ever sold my cards to SCG, so I didn't even know there was another option, to be honest.
Very, very fair. So, what is the texture of these post-sideboard games going to look like? So we have kind of 2 combo decks that aren't all combo decks, right?
Yeah.
So they both can't be the combo deck. Is there one that's going to be a little more combo-y, one being a little more interactive? Who's taking what role here?
I would think it is just going to be play draw. I think that's when you have to just look at, all right, I'm on the draw. I need to make sure I don't die, and then I can do my thing if you're in Hunter's spot. So trying to do anything possible to prevent Esper Reanimator from doing its thing. And then Andrew, I think, really wants to put the pressure on and try to, really go for that draw that we haven't seen. The turn 3, Goryo's Vengeance, Ephemerate the giant creature, and then just have interaction up. I think that's what we're really going to be going for. But also, Hunter's draws. I think Hunter's ceiling is higher just because he can just get these hyper-aggressive starts like we saw against the Is It Prowess deck last round. So I think the onus is on Hunter. If he has the best possible draw he can have, I think it's his game to lose.
Sounds great. Yeah, we've seen Andrew on camera a lot. We have not seen the more typical, just like, oh yeah, turn 3 Goros, do my thing,
Yeah.
It's been much more in a long game, grindy, setup, kill some stuff. So that is an element his deck has that we have not seen yet that is still definitely in the equation.
Yeah, and Hunter has not went for these long games at all. It has been the complete opposite from him the entire time.
All right, so these players take one last look at his open deck list, of course. So all the information is public and really, really important, in these high pressure situations to make sure you know all the cards in the deck, kind of make that mental note, make your checklist. How do you remember all these cards?
You know, I don't. I just don't. I don't have a very good memory, so I'm always looking, when I look at an open deck list tournament, just what are the main cards I have to care about? You know, like if I'm the Reanimator deck, it's easier for Andrew, I think. You just look, how many ways can you interact with that? You know, how many force negations, how many relics, how many ley lines, that kind of thing. And kind of the same for Hunter, except Hunter always has the same knowledge where you're playing against a blue deck, it's 4 consign. It's just every blue deck has 4 consign, so he knows what he's playing against basically every single game.
All right, so Andrew's going to look at the hand here. It's going face down. We got both players on the mulligan. And so with less resources, who's happier about this?
I would say Andrew, because Hunter does need to piece together a lot of different things to make it work. Andrew can just have turn 2 Tainted Indulgence, 2 lands, discard 1 big thing. Goryo's Vengeance, you don't even need the 3rd land most of the time. And then you can find it off the thing. So Andrew's deck can function off a smaller hand count for sure. One thing I want to bring up, Jim, I'm just looking at our day 1 metagame, and you have to go down to the 13th most played deck to find one of the decks that are in the finals of our tournament right now. The other one is in the other category, which just leads to such a cool story, you know, such a cool format that, yeah, Boros Energy didn't dominate, didn't even top 8. So I just think Modern is at a very, very healthy spot right now after Breach. As much as it pains me to say it, I think that was a very solid card to get out of the metagame.
Yes, Corey, you were the problem.
I knew it.
All right, so players look at their 6-card hands here. Obviously, a big game for both players. Hunter, this could be the last game of the entire tournament for him. And Andrew trying to stop that. Wants to bring game 3, wants to have a chance, take down that trophy, take them at $10,000, and leave here our Spotlight Series champion. All right. Looks like both players are bottoming. Andrew's all set. Hunter's picking out that card. Some hands are, you know, the bottom card is obvious. Some hands, they are not.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, plenty of hands where you look at your hand and you say, man, this would be a great 7. But you take one piece out and it kind of crumbles.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did see a Traxa there. I believe I saw Tainted Indulgence and a Consign in hand for Andrew.
It's a pretty good set of cards.
Pretty good. And, you know, I mean, if you've been watching the last match, that Tainted Indulgence is going to find
whatever Andrew wants.
Whatever he needs. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Hunter's really, really mauled this one over. And there it goes. Let's get started here. Game number 2 of the finals. Magic Spotlight Secret Lair.
First, I was like, right, okay. Hunter's going. I was like, did we say go? I mean, this Esper Reanimator deck, it's not out of the realm to not play a land and just say go, because, well, if you're on the draw and you kept 7, you can just discard Gristlebrand or Atraxa. When you're on the play, that is not usually happening.
On the play, on a mulligan, that would be exceedingly bold.
Yes, yes.
Right, so it's just an MDFC tap dual land for Andrew. We see Hunter got a Stirrings here. Look like an Eldrazi Temple. End step, Otherworldly... Oh, sorry, Upkeep, Otherworldly Gaze. That is a tap land there. So yeah. Look at the top 3. Try and get things set up.
Now, this could be I don't have land 2 for Andrew. You know, I think that's a hand I would still keep if I mulliganed already, because Otherworldly Gaze, you get 4 looks at it. That's still pretty good.
All right, so some can go on top, some can go in the bin. And Andrew really planning this out. Got to plan out the next few turns. You know, really got to think about both A, what Andrew wants to do, and then B, what Hunter is capable of doing.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, so looking at those 3. Tapline makes things a little awkward. You know, not on the smoothest draw here. Probably no turn 3 Atraxa.
You never know.
That is true. I mean, if there's an Atraxa or a Gristlebrand in these 3 cards, you know, part of the allure of this deck is that you can play your kind of card filtering cards, and if you just dump the card, you know, the big card in the graveyard while you're doing that, it's like a bonus.
Absolutely. It's getting your cake and get to eat it too, even if you are late for dinner.
Cake does sound great. All right. Ephemerate. So Ephemerate in the bin, 2 cards on top. Okay, that is a strong sign that Andrew likes going on here. We see it's tap land past turn.
Yeah, surveil land, but already knows we want to keep it on top. That's basically chapter 2 of Fable and not discarding any cards.
And then Hunter going to play the Fleshbreaker once again on turn 2. We saw how much damage that card is capable of dealing. We do see no third land for Andrew.
We sculpted it to just not have a second land, but hey, that's why we thought about it so much. So that does lead me to believe that we have Tainted Indulgence and Consign. So you get to just go, which one do I want? If there's nothing that needs to be consigned, then you can Tainted Indulge. Or I guess you can always just flash back the Otherworldly Gaze.
All right, so we see a naturally drawn needle here. We'll get word on what that needle is naming.
I think it's a drum.
Is that a drum? Oh,
yeah.
Secret Lair's got me.
They get you. They get you.
There we are.
Jim, if you love Secret Lair, I got a flash sale for you, okay?
Okay. All right, so there's a drum. Drum's looking great with these Scions and a Rumble. So kind of flying along here. And we see Kozilek's.
I believe that is the needle, though.
Oh, we're going so fast here.
I think that is a needle, the command, which you can't take, Writhing Chrysalis, and a land.
All right, Hunter's going to think this one through.
Needle does not seem amazing, though.
Yeah.
Like, at all. Like, you can hit Frog or you can hit Gristlebrand. And that's it.
All right, Hunter's going to think it through. Fleshbreaker, every colorless card is some more damage. And we saw the Wrecking Ball that was Writhing Chrysalis in the last game.
Yeah.
With this Fleshbreaker. So, appealing. Appealing.
Yeah.
If Hunter has the ramp, there's a drum in play. So, all right. Thinking it through. Again, these are very important decisions at the literal pinnacle of the tournament. So no need to rush here.
Yeah.
And we see the Scion come in from the Rumble, and it looks like the choice is going to be the Pithy Needle, all right?
Okay.
So take a point.
And that, that deals with a percentage of the Gorios Vengeance targets, or it deals with a full Frog. Frog's not here, so I assume you just hit Gristlebrand, but, overall, not anything too exciting here.
Yeah, honestly, the Scion and some damage feels almost nicer than that. So here's Needle.
1 mana shock.
Also ramping, too.
Yeah.
These Scions they add up.
For sure. And, Hunter could easily have been just doing the math. Like, oh, if I do this, and if you have Emrakul, you're always quietly counting your graveyard. You don't want to make it obvious, like counting your graveyard like this to see how many types you're up to. But I would not be shocked if Hunter has Emrakul the Promised End ready to go for next turn with how much mana we already have.
All right, so here's the Indulgence. There's been no attack yet. Track goes to the bin. The Needle is... So Needle is... We'll get word about what the Needle is naming. It is a Marsh Flats. Ooh, now we're playing Magic.
Yes. Right. Hunter, I'm a fan.
But again, the Fleshbreaker stayed home.
Yeah. Okay, we know what that card is from the last round.
Oh, boy.
It's Atraxa time.
All right. So Atraxa is coming in. 10 cards. No land drop yet. Pretty amusing that Marsh Flats is now not a possible white source.
Yeah.
All right. But there's
Flooded Strand.
No problem. Goyros, some frogs.
Pithing Needle's only enemy here. Flooded Strand.
All right, so there is no Ephemerate. We got Atraxa, a couple of frogs, another Goyros, another Indulgence, and then a bunch of land. So can set up for next turn, right? You take the Indulgence and the Atraxa, or the Goyros, whatever you might need.
Yeah, and could also just have the Ephemerate. Let's see. I want to say I saw Solitude. There is an Ephemerate. Andrew does have one.
All right.
That's an option. But, Andrew also has a Consign. So, if you do Ephemerate the Atraxa, sure, you get to keep around a giant creature, but you could be really vulnerable to Emrakul. Atraxa is not the worst to have against Emrakul, because if normally you force a 7/7 to attack into your 13/13, great. Death Touch, less great.
It doesn't come up very often that card is Death Touch, but that is a relevant spot.
Yeah, no kidding.
And now we're seeing if this Atraxa sticks, we're sort of cutting off part of Hunter's deck, right? This sort of like aggro Fleshbreaker part stops being appealing, but there's still a combo half and the ramp half available.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Goyros, Atraxa, and Flooded Strand are the choices from the Atraxa off Goyros. Here's the Flooded Strand. I imagine we'll see an attack. There you go. 7 damage, 7 life. Big life swing. Fleshbreaker not looking as good this game as it did last game. And now the question is, will Atraxa stay in play or manage to stay up?
And that's the thing. If you just found another Gorios Vengeance and an Atraxa, you could maybe even just discard the hand size here. put 2 Atraxas into the yard. I mean, I guess one of them is going to exile, but here's Andrew's awareness of Emrakul. What's the count? And this is always smart. You always want to see, is it possible if my opponent can Emrakul me next turn? And basically you have to do your math. If your opponent's at 11 on the battlefield, it's possible because there's so many lands that produce 2 mana.
All right, big spot for Andrew. And you said, is Ephemerate in hand or no?
Ephemerate was, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So, crack the Flooded Strand. Looks like the Ephemerate route. And now there are, of course, obviously the pitch spells in the deck as well. So even if Andrew's tapped out, there are ways to interact and do things.
Yeah, this deck used to really pop off when you could also get grief. Ooh. You know, like when you go up to 13 cards, you get to grief them twice and solitude something and then still just be like, all right, I have 7 cards. You know, it just felt so incredibly powerful.
We don't talk about those days.
Yeah.
Grief is, did not like getting griefed.
I mean, there was still a pesky bird that was around that was a little better, too.
That is true. All right. As a Hallowed Fountain, untapped. And we are peeking at the sideboard here.
How many of X did I leave in is what that is.
Yep. You know, when you are seeing 10 cards at a time, knowing if you have 2 or 3 of it out for something is very important. So here's the Ephemerate. Hunter can do nothing but stand by and watch as Atraxa goes off again, this time permanently on the battlefield. 10 cards coming. And we got a couple lands in the window.
There's a Solitude.
Solitude. Consign.
So no matter what, the Fleshraker's gone. You know, more than likely you're going to want to just deal with that. I guess there is some consideration because if Emrakul is possible, I'll do that math in a second, then maybe you want to save Solitude where you can actually Solitude Emrakul before you untap, and then you can also exile a white card that could be problematic for your opponent to cast. You know, when you're controlling your turn, you know, you could get rid of like 2 Solitudes. So Andrew, being controlled by Hunter, couldn't Solitude his own Atraxa. That's confusing when you're talking about your opponent controlling your turn.
I've actually always liked the flavor of Emrakul, though.
I love it.
The way you need to play when you know Emrakul is coming is so chaotic and bizarre, where you're just like killing your own things and like just doing it so they can't really wreck you.
Yeah.
That's just a cool feeling. I don't know. It's a cool game design moment.
It really is fun.
All right, so we're going to see Solitude right now. We're going to see Ending hit the Exile Zone. Goodbye, Fleshraker. 2 life for Hunter. And not much of a consolation prize.
A couple life. All right, so now we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 mana on the battlefield, and then whatever we have in the graveyard plus a land drop. So I can't see exactly what we have there, but it's definitely possible.
Land sorcery. I agree that it sounds like Emrakul is castable.
Okay.
There's Cavern of Souls.
So that's 9. I believe there was a K command as well. So that's 10, 11. Land is 12. Yeah, so we are there. We are fully there for Emrakul. Oh, yeah.
Here's the count. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
The end is promised.
It's Emrakul time.
So I want to say Andrew had a Solitude, which is cool, but not amazing. But solituding that, or subtlety, excuse me, not a Solitude. Had a Subtlety if that was hanging around. You could at least put it on top. It makes it a little tricky to cast again, if I saw that correctly. Looks like I did not.
All right, Emrakul, the promised end. Cast trigger. I take your next turn, and then you get an extra turn after that. Here's Solitude.
Huge.
You got some heavy hitters in the finals here, right? The Atraxa versus Emrakul battle.
Yeah. Now it'll be interesting. Does Andrew ephemerate the Atraxa? I mean, almost assuredly, because you can just find more ways to kill Atraxa, and you don't have to take all the cards. I believe that's how it works.
Yep. All right. Oh, man.
My favorite line from a testing team I've been on. I won't say exactly who the players were, but we're just thinking, okay, so what should I do here, you know, during this I've taken your turn moment? And someone screamed over, hey, just play like you normally play, and that would do it as how bad you could possibly play a turn for Emrakul.
Making that joke with Mindslaver back in the day.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so we see now we have Hunter taking control of Andrew's turn. So this turn is Hunter playing both sides. And Hunter gets to ephemerate the Atraxa. And the goal here is not to get more cards for Andrew. The goal here is to find cards that can really muck up the works. Make Andrew screw things up as much as possible.
Yeah.
So looking at an ephemerate, we got a Goyros. Is that an Indulgence, I believe, or is it a Frog? Can't tell.
I think that's a land in the middle, and then Pest Control, and then Gorios in the hand.
All right, so there's a Marsh Flats.
A textless Marsh Flats as it is shut down by the needle.
Remember, you don't have to take cards here. You do not have to hit all the requirements. You can take as many cards as you want. So Hunter are going to only choose the cards that benefit Hunter's plan of ruining Andrew's day.
And I think the biggest thing here is no Solitude. No Solitude to deal with Atraxa. So I'm not seeing a way to actually remove this Atraxa from the battlefield. Like, sure, you can waste some cards here. You can Wrath for 0. That would kill Scion, I guess. You can not play land drops. You can do that kind of stuff. But I don't see the ability to do anything too crazy impactful against Andrew here. So this might not be the worst Emrakul here for Andrew.
Yeah, with Emrakul not actually in play, changes the math a lot. A lot of the power of Emrakul is it's this huge thing in play. They attack their best thing into it, and now they got to deal with this 13-13.
Yeah.
With it out of play and Atraxa already in play, that's a big game. So how about we just get some more cards?
Yeah, try to find Solitude. I think that's what Hunter really wants here, just to be able to deal with this Atraxa. Oh, a Frog is so good. You can discard your entire hand.
Oh, and Solitude. Okay. So here's a Solitude. And the Frog would leave the Frog in play large.
It would be very large.
So that is a possible concern.
You could also exile every card in the graveyard too, though, so you could just chump block with Scions.
All right, so Delta, Solitude, Goyros. There's no way that Hunter could deck Andrew here, is there? Just keep going and ephemerating and drawing more cards. There's no way, right?
Oh, the one thing that could totally happen is we're at exactly 21. If you could get Gristlebrand into the yard,
a multiple 7,
you could pay exactly.
Wow. Okay. Might be on our way to a ridiculous finish here for Hunter.
I don't see a way to do it though. We just don't have enough mana.
Yeah. Still ridiculous either way here. These Emrakul turns are always so ponderous, and a helpless feeling for Andrew. Just sitting back, you are literally not part of the game anymore.
Yeah.
For this turn, you might as well go to the bathroom. You can come back later, because that's it.
Oh man, that would have been the craziest ending to win a tournament. You paid 21 life from your opponent to exactly lose the game. Because if you're at 20, you cannot pay that last 7. That's correct, right?
Yep. You can only pay life that you have. So Solitude pitching Wrath of the Skies.
Okay.
That's going to target the Atraxa. Get out of here. Gain some life.
Up to 28.
Now, Hunter did choose a number of cards here. These lands didn't need to be chosen per se, but all right, we got.
How many mana values though? Is this just draw 2? It's probably just draw 2, right?
Gotta take a look.
And if that's the case, then Hunter just helped out Andrew, right? No reason to just draw 2 cards
1,
there.
2, 5, 0. That's it. 1, 2, 5, 0. So, all right, gotta discard the consign. And we're gonna play a Pluto Delta.
God, no more lands to fetch.
God, so unfortunate.
Dang it. Really unlucky.
Failed to find.
Or if that's 8 cards, you keep it and you discard another card to hand size.
Why were the extra cards taken then? There was a Goyros taken, a few lands taken. What?
And that's the thing, is these are some of the hardest turns to play when you're trying to play as bad as possible. It really is. It's a gift to be able to play a turn horrifically.
All right, discard the Archaeologist and say go. But Hunter gave Andrew a number of cards there.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew's coming back with a grip. He's not dead to Gristlebrand, so I mean, hey, this could have been a lot worse for Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, and the big thing about Emrakul you kind of forget is that it's a time walk. So that turn went by, Andrew drew a card, but now Andrew gets a whole nother turn here, another fresh draw, and then a full turn. It's not like a complete Mindslaver where they just lose their entire turn, you're right back to you.
Yeah.
So here's line number 4, and again, Andrew's hand's pretty gassed up.
Yeah. We had a lot of good stuff going on. And now there's Frog. There's, you can discard a Gristlebrand. Now, one play you can do with this Reanimator deck that we don't always see is at the end of Hunter's turn, you can discard Gristlebrand to Frog, Goryo's Vengeance back, and you get to keep it.
Yep.
and you get to attack with it next turn and, completely pop off.
Yeah, it goes away at the beginning of the next end step. So.
Yeah.
All right, so Beseiju for Hunter, only 2 cards behind. And I got to say, as far as Emrakuls go, I have seen better.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Right. Oh, are we doing it again? Second chance at it.
All right, you know what? Second verse, same as the first. The promised end is once again here. So maybe that was the play. Maybe Hunter was setting up for the next Emrakul.
Yeah.
And wanted these resources for that.
And now one thing that you can do from Andrew's side is discard Gristlebrand before end step, bring it back so it gets discarded so that you can't just lose the game to the Gristlebrand activation.
All right, discard Marsh Flats.
There's nothing better than games with multiple Emrakul's The Promised End. It's just such a unique gameplay experience that we just never see, you know?
Was actually banned in Standard. It was very, very potent.
During the Grapple of the Pass shenanigans, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah, that was...
There's some Ironwork stuff going on there too, but... all right, so... I'm going to verify that the cost is proper. 13-13, Mama's home.
So I think the one thing for Andrew now is he has to, just protect himself as much as possible from, the problematic things. Oh, okay. I mean, one thing he can still do is just discard Gristlebrand and give Frog Flying. Discard any card that is problematic to Andrew's game plan right now, and then exile him from the yard.
Yeah, Frog does give a definite measure of control over what Emrakul can do here.
And Andrew gets to control the draw step that Hunter gets to have from Andrew's draw step. Wow, if anybody is just listening to this game, they are very confused.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew's doing a really good job navigating these Emrakuls. Now, the problem here is that there is no Solitude this time around. Yeah. So the last turn worked out so well because the Emrakul wasn't there.
Yeah.
It was just the effect. Now we're seeing the effect alongside the powerful 13-13 flyer, and that does change the math quite a bit.
It definitely does. So yeah, now Frog can get boosted up, discard the whole hand size, but attack into Emrakul.
Yeah, not that many cards in hand. Frog's very, very powerful, but 13's quite a bit.
Yeah.
So a couple discards. Oh.
Wait a minute.
No, we are just giving the cards. All right, so we got land, Gueros.
Wait, isn't Gristlebrand in the yard then?
I don't think there was a Gristlebrand.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. He's going pretty fast, thinking that there might be something.
All right, so Rocket Fetch. And here's a Frog. That was off the Surveil up the Fetch.
Okay. So, I mean, the literal worst case scenario here for Hunter is that Andrew ends the turn with 0 permanents in play, 0 cards in hand, and 0 cards in graveyard, as long as it's a denomination of 3. That's the best possible case for Andrew.
All right, discard the hand.
Yep.
And here you go, like you said. So
must not be a Gristlebrand.
3 cards. Flying. A lot of hopping around here. And 3. And obviously leaving behind a land or 2, not the end of the world.
Yeah.
So, all right. That's all the cards eaten.
This Frog has 7 times flying.
Attack and a block. I love seeing one player play Magic by themselves. It's
yes.
I attack and I block. All right, so you are right. Andrew's down to stone nothing, but a Psychic Frog off the top. So we got Frog versus the world here. One lonely Frog, no cards in hand, no graveyard. Emrakul, here's a Brood Scale. Gonna evolve it and make that Scion. Here comes Emrakul, 13 damage.
Okay, 2-turn clock, but now Andrew does have the ability to draw 2 cards here with the Frog. I mean, I guess we can't even jump it more than likely, so this could be Hunter taking this down in the most amazing fashion ever. He 2-0'd the top 8, he 2-0'd the top 4 as well. Hunter maybe just 6-0's the top 8 here if he locks this up.
Hunter's a fight to catch. Gotta get out of here.
Yeah,
Let's get things going here. All right, Andrew, trying to figure out what can Andrew do to get out. We've seen Andrew, behind the barrel of a gun here for a number of times. And
not really this far behind. Squeeze
it out, but looking for a bit of a miracle here. I mean, Tainted Indulgence off the top,
Then that's game. Andrew wins. I mean, if it's Tainted Indulgence there, but I think it was a Plains.
Plains, not the most powerful.
And if there's a card under that Frog, you can at least discard, jump it, and I mean, I guess you could try to block it.
And that's it. Hunter Ovington takes it down in dramatic fashion. First Emrakul, not enough to get it done. But how about the
Yeah.
second one? How about second Emrakul? So Hunter just blasting through this tournament, undefeated in the top 8, an unbelievable run with this really, really awesome deck.